Bienvenue à tous pour la conférence de presse de la loi du marché avec Vincent Lindon et réalisé par Stéphane Brizé.
Stéphane Brizé and starring Vincent Lindon.
Bonjour Christophe. Bonjour. Merci. Bienvenue à la conférence de presse intime.
Press conference on Stéphane Brizé's film called The Measure of a Man. I'd like to introduce the people at the podium, the producer, Christophe Rossignon.
Le scénariste,
The scriptwriter, Olivier Gors.
À côté de moi,
next to
Thierry,
me, Thierry,
Vincent Lindon,
or rather Vincent Lindon.
Pour la troisième fois,
for the
en
third
complicité,
time,
en osmose, en amitié avec Stéphane Brizé.
Stéphane Brizé, it's the third time they've been working
Et au
together,
centre, Stéphane Brizé.
a form of osmosis.
À qui je vais poser la première question. On
I'll put
entre
my
dans
first
ce
question
film
to Stéphane
tout de
Brizé.
suite.
You
sans
immediately
titre. On est
plunge
là,
into
on
the
est dans la vie
film
de
without
Thierry.
any
Ce parti
credits.
pris,
You go straight
cette
into
immédiateté
Thierry's
de la
life.
réalité, est-ce qu'elle
It's
s'est décidée
immediate.
tout de suite, avant,
Was
pendant,
this
après?
decided on right away or later? This was planned as soon as we wrote the script. The first scene in the film, I knew was going to be the first scene. Right from the very outset. It's the first thing I said to Christophe Rossignon. In fact, I said, I warn you, there won't be credits. You won't see the names of the people who put up the money. They'll come right at the end. And this is something one never does. I don't know how they felt when I said that. I thought, well, you're sure? No, of course, Stéphane had very good reasons, compelling reasons for doing this. And I accepted it fully. We understood what the intention was. Good morning. Congratulations on this film in the official selection. I have two questions. One is general on the screenplay. Almost all of your scenes are shot in an enclosed area. It's mainly the camera that moves, but the characters don't move that much. This gives rise to quite a lot of tension in the scenes. Tension springs from the dialogue, from the interplay between the characters, and of course the wonderful acting of Vincent Lindon. What justified the choice of the way you shot the film? And then I have a more detailed question about the son. During the interview, when the son talks about his future, we realize that life isn't easy for the son either. Why did you choose a handicapped person? Well, when it comes to the screenplay, there were certain constraints because of the places where the film was shot. What was quite symbolical for me was that office where they brought people in when they were caught stealing. And I went to visit such a place in a supermarket. It's 4 square meters, it's tiny, and you have just a small table, which forces the person who's caught to have his back to the wall. And it's these 4 square meters that dictated the way the film was shot. I didn't want to create a special area. The security guards work in this place, and I wanted to film them and show them exactly how they go about their work. This tiny little space forced me to make certain choices. I couldn't have shot the film if the camera couldn't have filmed in this tiny enclosed area. In my preceding films, I had more of a fixed camera. In this film, the camera moves all the time. This is quite new. There's a lot of energy that transpires on the screen. There's something that creates a lot of tension as well. I asked the director of photography to film Thierry, Vincent. He's the person I'm filming all the time. He's like the boxer in the ring who I'm filming non-stop. And the spectator, in fact, can use his imagination through the imagination of Thierry. As to the handicapped child, I don't use the handicap for emotional reasons, which would be rather facile. I needed to have the son in the film, and he appears very early on in the script. As of the first scene, I knew there wouldn't be very many family scenes, but I wanted, as of the first family scene, I wanted it to be clear that these people are really good people. They've been very careful bringing up their son. It's very complicated to have a handicapped child. They speak to him in such a nice manner. The couple is happy. They probably make love at least once a week. They seem fine. And basically, that's what led me to decide on this character. You can see the main character, both at home and at work, and you can see he's a wonderful person. Wanxing, Chinese press. I'm deeply touched by the film. I have the impression that I watched a documentary. I know that in the film there are a lot of non-professional actors. I would like to ask a question to Stéphane Brizé and Vincent Lindon. Why did you choose non-professional actors? Was the intention to introduce a very real note in the film? You brought in these non-professional actors, and did they not only meet your expectations but exceed them? When you prepare a film, you wonder what the best way of achieving your goals might be. And in the film, I wanted to film very real things. I wanted the camera to film the truth, reality. In the case of this film, intuitively, I felt it was the best solution. That is, to have a highly experienced actor with whom I've already worked, plus non-professionals. When actually shooting, you can't really say they're professionals and non-professionals. And the casting, in fact, was exactly the same for the non-professionals as for professional actors. They might not be able to do what professional actors do on stage, but in the film, with this project, I felt these non-professional actors were the most appropriate choice in order to create this extremely real effect. Vincent?
Il marche mon micro, oui.
Often in press conferences, everyone shares the same views, but I don't agree entirely with Stéphane in this respect. I'm fully aware of the talent and the work done by actors. Our job consists in doing as well as people who are not actors, because I often play characters who are not professionals. They're, say, a baker. So I have to be as good as a real baker, and that's what I'm interested in my films. I hope that someone who doesn't know me at the other end of the earth on a desert island, I hope that people who don't know me, even in Europe or in the French hinterland, I hope that they won't be able to distinguish the professional from the non-professional actors. That's what I tried to do. What's the difference when you play with non-professionals? First of all, I don't like the term non-professionals. I prefer saying people who have never acted. I know professionals who aren't professionals, and I know non-professionals who are highly professional. You have people who play in their first films, and they be absolutely fabulous. So I like playing with non-professionals, and they taught me a great deal. I learned a lot before we were actually filming. When we were shooting, we were all on an equal footing. I didn't know any more than they did, in fact. I'm more familiar perhaps with the technique, I'm more familiar with filming. They aren't at all, but they know more about their jobs than I do. So I had to learn about how to go about my character. Stéphane set up a system which was absolutely excellent. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a fiction, it's a storyline. He makes his films in a totally different way. So, despite myself, I found that I was practically in the same position as the non-professionals, in the sense that it was a very different setup. So we all got along extremely well together. When I'm working with a professional actor or actress, I don't say, oh, wow, I'm in a film with a professional, or conversely with a non-professional. It's not an idea that crosses my mind. I never view non-professionals in that light. What we wanted to do was to embody, as best we could, the fantasy that we were those people. I kept saying to myself, well, if I was Thierry, what would I do? It's wonderful working with Stéphane. He often said he put us at ease, and he lets us make a lot of our own choices. He tells us what he wants. We're allowed to say what we want. You can therefore feel very relaxed. He often comes to see us, and he said the same thing to me as to the non-professional actors. He never talked to me quietly, saying, Vincent, do this or that. Everyone was on an equal footing. He said to us, take your time. Not take time because we're not in a rush. What he meant was take time as an individual, as an actor, take the time you would take if you were actually them. Take the time that Thierry would have taken. I don't mind if you don't answer right away. There isn't a camera which is filming two people who are talking together, and there isn't someone else saying, well, speed up, hurry up. When someone is sad or disappointed, well, then it takes a while for the emotion to sink in. And so we all portrayed our parts as real people. That's why I wanted to do the film above all. I have a question for Vincent Lindon. Your character is constantly confronted with violence, social violence, the violence of the lady at the bank, the violence of the other security guards who catch these people who are stealing in the shop. What is the scene that struck you as the most difficult to play? The most distressing? I've never been able to answer that kind of question about any film. The word distressing, well, in terms of Thierry, as Vincent Lindon, I can't really say that anything was distressing. Even in the most distressing scene, it's just 1 minute in the supermarket for me. So I'm an actor, I'm driven to the set, I'm offered a cold drink, and people say, oh, sorry, Vincent, we had to work for longer than expected. That might have been an extra 30 minutes. Did you take a lot of risks? Well, no, I haven't been sent to Kosovo either. That's not what I meant. I meant there are some very distressing scenes for the character, because he's on the verge of exploding. He has to contain his own personal violence. How did you dose this violence in the character? Thank you. I understand your question better. The two scenes which were the most distressing from a human stance for me were the scenes where I decide not to sell my mobile home, and that's a very important moment for me. When I say not at any price, I say I'm willing to lower the price a little bit, but I love people. And that, for me, is one of the definitions of someone who is protective. It may be a woman protecting the family, not necessarily a man. So at a given point in that discussion, I had to say, no, you have to establish a limit. That was very important for me. And the other scene is the one with the man who stole the meat. And here, we're practically in a state of science fiction. This gentleman probably had led a very honest life. He probably worked for his whole life. I'm sure he was now retired. And suddenly, he was in such a position that he had to steal a piece of meat. For me, that is a tragedy. It's horrible, it's miserable. Those were the two scenes that were most distressing for me. But maybe at the end of the press conference, another scene will suddenly occur to me. But that's what I wanted to say for the time being. I come from Lebanon. I have a question for Stéphane Brizé and Vincent Lindon. I have the impression that you worked a lot on Vincent Lindon's body language. This is the fourth time you've worked together. The third, I apologize. Why are you so interested in the body language of an actor? I thought I understood that the son's handicap was a way of saying we're all handicapped in terms of our body language. I must humbly admit, and Olivier, you can bear me out on this, that when we wrote the script, I didn't really think along those lines. There's some ways of interpreting films which are absolutely right because they are your gut feeling, but these scenes or this way of going about things may not have been a deliberate choice. The choice of Vincent, well, no doubt, the way he moves appeals to me. And I'm improvising, of course. I never said this when I turned up on the set. Vincent is very powerful, yet humble and modest at the same time. He is someone who you want to protect while at the same time being protected by him. That creates huge empathy. In the three films we've done together, I hardly ever film him face on, so to speak. I'll see, I'll check this when I look at how I filmed other characters. Rather than showing things clearly in my films, I like to suggest them. When you don't show the whole of the actor's face, but you show the profile, for example, the spectators can project their own emotions into the actor, their own feelings. This harks back to the very first question about the space. And I said I chose this very little confined space, the 4 square meters, in the room where people who steal are called in. I chose that because that forced me to film Vincent practically from the back. And that's almost ideal for me. I don't do it systematically. I'm not dogmatic. But often this enables me to tell the story with Vincent through his body without showing everything. La Stampa. I have a question for Vincent Lindon and Stéphane Brizé. Why, this year in Cannes, are there so few films on social and political topics like yours?
Moi, j'ai envie de passer la parole à...
I'd like
mon avis serait certainement hyper intéressant.
Mais j'ai envie de passer la parole à Olivier. Pass on that one, and I'll ask Olivier to answer. I wanted to work with Olivier. This is the first time we've worked together. Olivier has worked on a number of films that address political issues. His culture, his knowledge of politics, his intelligence were very important for this film. And they also helped me in my approach and thinking in the film. For about 15 years now, films have looked at the working world. They depict scenes in various companies. These are films which have held up well vis-à-vis the public. Of course, you also have to strike a balance between different environments. We felt it was important to defend this kind of cinema. I would also like to answer. Strangely enough, I'm surprised by your question. For the past month, ever since we were selected for Cannes, people have said to me, well, it's amazing. Thierry Frémaux has decided this year to have a lot of social films in the festival, including The Curtain Raiser, and this one. That's 2 out of 5. That's a lot. That's 40%. In fact, I might refer to 60%. A lot of presidents of the Republic would love to have a 60% positive rating in opinion polls. So on the contrary, I think this year there are a lot of films which deal with social topics. And I believe this is a very good thing. Personally, I believe that the films which go down in the history of the cinema on the whole are films which talk about contemporary society and what's happening in that society. Chaplin, Capra, Lubitsch. In France, you have many films on the middle class, men and women. The Piala depicts current events together with any number of French directors, and that's very important. The Garden brothers, Ken Loach, talks about England at a given point in time. Perhaps art is so important because it's the kind of culture that people remember. It's a very powerful medium, the cinema. It may not change people's temperament, it may not change their ideas, but at least it shows people different things. It encourages people to ask certain questions. So granted, I'm in the film, but very sincerely, what I love in the cinema is that Stéphane doesn't order people around. Films don't order people around. They don't say, here you have the good people, the bad people. Stéphane encourages people to question their ideas. Would I have done the same thing as Thierry, for example? What would I do if I was in that person's shoes? Whether you like it or not, as a spectator, you gain a political awareness and you have to formulate your opinions. And once you have an opinion, you become more powerful and proactive in life. So this is a fairly indirect way of becoming involved in politics. And that's what I like in the film. Currently, I think this is extremely important. Many things are happening in the world, and the cinema, every so often, needs to look into what is happening. 40 years ago, people went to see a film as a form of entertainment. And people, at the end of the film, would tend to say, oh, this never happens in real life. And now, sometimes people go to the cinema, perhaps to see real life, because what you see on the news is so sensational. The information is compacted to warn people about what's happening. There's so much exaggeration. People depict the worst possible scenes. People talk about the most horrible situations, and it's so awful that people switch off because they don't want to watch anymore. When you go to the cinema for an hour and a half, you watch a fiction, you get swept into a story, and you suddenly think, well, maybe this is more real than real life. I'd just like to pick up on what Vincent Lindon has said. Olivier, we're talking about real life, people's lives. How much research work did you do before this film? For example, you have the interview, the job interview on Skype. That probably does happen in real life, but how did this come into the screenplay? To begin with,
face à Olivier, en lui proposant une histoire, il y a un début, un milieu, une fin, ça tient sur une
well,
page.
a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then you have to build up the screenplay. While he was writing, I spent a lot of time in the supermarkets. I even played at being a security guard. I was insulted like they were. I dressed up as a security guard. Some of the scenes were incredibly violent. It's hard to imagine. The black security guard in the film, well, I saw him faced with a horrible invective. Very racist things were said to him. We're in 2015, and a guy said to him, do you realize that we don't even belong to the same race? And at the end, it lasted half an hour, this horrible speech when the guy was insulting the black man. When the lady left, I said to the guy, I said to him, how do you manage not to react? He was incredibly wise, and he said, well, poor lady, she must lead a very painful, horrible life. Poor lady, I don't take it personally. And at that point in time, there appeared to be two different realities. That is what the woman was saying, her racist comments, and the very stoical attitude, the very wise attitude of this man. And this is in a hypermarket. These are two different realities that seem to coexist. I talked a lot with people in the unemployment agency, and that's how we fleshed out the script. We tested certain situations, we filled them with people who were playing their own character, they were playing their own part, they were playing themselves. So everything is rooted in reality. But once it became a film, it turns into a form of fiction. All these scenes are perfectly possible. They exist. And then we just had to link them all together. Things then acquire a different meaning, which sometimes appears very violent or absurd. In the film, I think everyone is trying to do their job, go about their work. That's part of the logics of the system, which is degrading and violent for the main character in the end. But everyone is fighting to try and do his or her work while being understanding. The system tries to make people indifferent. As Vincent said, there are no good guys and bad guys. What's bad is the indifference that these kinds of situations force us to move towards. It's just fiction. The scene I talked about earlier on with these insults, I wrote the scene when I went back home in the evening, and it therefore appeared in the script. Christophe said to me, well, that script is great, but I don't understand the scene. And he said, and I said, but I experienced it firsthand. We shot it. Sometimes fiction enhances reality. Before giving the floor to Christophe Rossignon, who's the producer of the film, I'd like to add something. What's very moving in the film is that it depicts people who do things that they don't really want to do. It's not the powerful against the weak. The film depicts people in very precarious situations. The boss of the supermarket has to ask me and my colleagues to do what we do, because otherwise he'll be in a mess. We have to arrest people or we'll have problems. As to the sale of the mobile home, it took me a while to fully understand the scene. It deeply shocked me. It really upset me, but I couldn't put words to it. I said to myself, well, there's nothing special in that scene. The guy just says at one point in time, no, I'm not going to continue negotiating. I'm not going to sell. I've often found myself in a situation where I say no in life, but I didn't feel so upset. But then I realized what it was all about. The guy who wanted to buy the mobile home was like Thierry. They're like two animals who are fighting, two hungry animals fighting, two dogs that are fighting over the same bone. The guy probably took 10 years or 5 years to save up the money, and I need money too, because it took me a long time to save up enough money to buy the mobile home. So it's two people in a very weak situation who are fighting. It's a question of divide in order better to rule. That's the way the world works today for most people in any event, and it's really scary.
Bonjour,
Peter Paul Hout,
de la télévision allemande.
German TV.
Au début, je trouvais le
At the
film
beginning,
très difficile
I found the film very difficult to watch.
Il fait,
Your seat was uncomfortable? One feels very uncomfortable watching the film. There are a lot of dialogues in the film. Thierry never explodes, though. He never really talks about his feelings and his reactions to his wife or somebody else. He keeps everything for himself. Why did you make that choice? It's a very intelligent choice, but why did you make it? I agree with you. Thank you for your comment. If Thierry had exploded in a fit of rage, then it would have become rather trite. Life is more complex and more nuanced than that. Heroic acts, like what he does, are often silent acts. In a state of war, it may be someone who didn't blow up a train, but just opened a door for someone who was trying to run away. They're silent heroes. Thierry, no doubt, is a silent hero. He opened the door, but he might not have led a revolution. We know that this man was involved in union activity. You understand that in the scene with his colleagues. He fought to keep his job. But he's tired, he says so. And perhaps at that point in his life, he doesn't have enough energy to conduct a revolution. However, he does take the floor, and heroic acts are often silent ones. For example, one day in the US, a black woman who refuses to give up her seat in a bus.
pourquoi peu d'échanges ou pas d'échanges avec
Why are there few discussions within the family?
Est-ce qu'on écrit des
We wondered about that. We wondered, should we write scenes where he talks with the family and his colleagues? But the way I view Thierry is as follows. The family is a reassuring place for this man. And if he suddenly sat down back home to say, I can't bear this anymore, well, he doesn't want to inflict that on his family, so he keeps it to himself. This harks back to the question put at the beginning about the handicapped son. We didn't make the film a very intimate drama. That's why we thought about the son. Thierry has very down-to-earth things to do when he's back home. He has physically to help his son. Even with his wife, he learns how to dance. We wanted these scenes to show how he behaves, and we wanted things to be consistent throughout the film. The idea was not suddenly to plunge into a psychological drama. We wanted the film to be consistent from beginning to end. I have a question for Christophe Rossignon. When did you join the team with this project, The Measure of a Man? How did you go about financing and joining this film, which is about stark reality? I joined the project through Vincent Lindon, who's present here today. Vincent and I have known each other for quite some time now, since La Haine, Hatred, and also Welcome. With my partner, Philippe, who's in the room, I said on several occasions that I would like to produce a film by Stéphane, because I like his films. I like the way he puts a camera in a given position in the room. He films the characters from the back. I find this very powerful. It's a very positive image for me. And I would uphold the fact that this is a very right choice. I'm not a director, and I couldn't do what you do with your camera. Vincent called me up one day. He said, I'd like to see you. And he told me something about what he had in his mind, this inspiration that had occurred to him. He talked roughly about the project and said, I've spoken to Stéphane, and he said, would you like to produce one of Stéphane's films? Would you like to embark on this adventure together with us? We'd be very happy to become involved. Stéphane and Vincent acted a bit like co-producers of the film together with us. It was wonderful to create this close-knit group with the actor, with the director. Everything was very transparent. We worked hand in hand together. Stéphane knew at the very outset it was necessary to stick to budget so as not to depend on overly complicated financing that would be hard to put together. We had a tight schedule. So we ensured that the project would gather momentum. We worked at quite a brisk pace. I'd like to ask Olivier and Stéphane about the rock and roll scene. It's so pretty, so unexpected.
Mais c'est ce que disait Olivier tout à l'heure. C'était
It's what Olivier was referring to earlier on.
D'incarner
the idea was
le couple,
physically
et Thierry et sa femme,
to show the couple
et je préfère voir
the
deux
link
personnes
between
qui, à
Thierry
50
and
ans,
his wife.
prendre des cours de rock ensemble, ça me raconte
And I
quelque chose
really
de très
like
beau
this
sur le couple,
idea of a
plutôt que des
couple
personnes
who's
qui,
learning how to dance
dans le
rock and
salon,
roll
se disent qu'est-ce que je
together,
t'aime et qu'est-ce que c'est
rather
formidable,
than shooting a
parce que
scene
ça,
between
souvent, on oublie
people
de le
sitting
dire.
in
Mais
their
par contre,
drawing room saying,
on
well,
peut
I love you.
faire quelque chose ensemble et qui
I
raconte
wanted to
quelque
show
chose
the couple doing
du lien
something
très, très
together,
fort.
and
Et
this
ce,
depicts the very
voilà, ces deux
strong
corps qui
link
dansent
between the two
racontent
individuals. The bodies
l'intimité,
that are dancing
la tendresse et
show
l'amour de ce couple, mais d'une manière
how
très, très
strong the love between the couple is. And Vincent was part and parcel of the project. Stéphane knows Vincent very well, and he knows what kinds of situations suit him best. That's a wonderful thing. It gives one tremendous liberty. And what about that rock and roll lesson? I never took lessons. In the film, the character takes lessons. So I just turned up in the film and danced as best I could. I'm not very good at rock and roll. When I went to a dance party and when I was young, I usually spent most of my time sitting down. I'm not very good at dancing. Lots of people say dancing is great, it's lots of fun, you can really relax and enjoy yourself. I have to concentrate fully when I'm dancing. I have to be careful with each step. It's hell for me. So why should I do something that I don't really enjoy in my own private life? Stéphane knew that. So I just turned up the way I am for this dance class, and I learned how to dance rock and roll. I progressed a little bit. He shows how to move your feet, and Stéphane was cracking up because it's actually very complicated. At least it's very complicated for me. One of the first things Vincent Lindon says is you don't do any old thing with people, and I think that's admirably shown in this film. Thank you very much.